white settlement in the Chermside district, when it was known as Downfall Creek, really began after 1864. Edgar Huxtable came through here and did the surveys for the area. But of course there would have been Aboriginal people living here before that, and they had a fairly good lifestyle, because there was plenty of water, there were trees, there was plenty of food and animals around here. So Edgar Huxtable did his survey in 1864, and then they put the blocks up for sale in 1865, but they started to take off about 1868. Those early ones who did come here were farmers for a start, but it was mostly livestock like dairying and cattle. And then the farming that they did indulge in was for crops, mostly to keep them alive in the family, but also for their cattle and their pigs. That meant they had slaughter yards, and that was basically how it started off.
My great-great-grandfather Alexander Duff was one of the first settlers in Chermside. He came out from England on the Young Australia in 1866 with a land order, which he never took up, and instead purchased 2 blocks of land at Chermside. He intended farming it, but he died after 12 months, and the land passed to his daughter Emma. Emma came to Chermside when her husband died with the 3 youngest children. Ellen, my grandmother, was the youngest child. Ellen grew up and married Alec Beckman, who was also a pioneer in the area. After Nana married and Emma died, Nana and Grandad fostered children. I have a photo of the house with Ellen on the steps and Alec in the background and some of the fostered children in front.
It was called Downfall Creek, supposedly because one of the German missionaries had had a bad accident that was coming through from Nunda, and he'd had a bad accident in the area, so they commemorated it by calling it Downfall Creek. But the fellow who became the first head teacher at Chermside School thought it was terrible to have a name like that, and that was James Hewitt. And so he and a couple of other people in the district campaigned to have the name changed, and then Governor Chermside arrived, and so they thought it would be an ideal opportunity to change the name. So that's how we became Chermside in about 1903, 1904. But it was a long way out at that stage. There were a whole lot of streams that were coming eastward, and so all of those had to be negotiated, and there were no bridges, so you had to find a ford, and so that they could get over that way. So each of these little areas were sort of had separate development for quite a while until the bridges were built and until transport came through. Cobb & Co came through in about 1868. They had private bus services that ran into Wooloowin or to Aspley. The tram came as far as Kedron Park Hotel at first. That was its limit. And then people could get a little bus across there and they could come further out by that bus. And then it came out to Lutwyche Cemetery was the next movement of the terminus. And then people living out this way would get a connecting bus into Lutwyche Cemetery, and then they'd get the tram in. But the people in the local council had been campaigning for years and years to get the terminus extended, because they realised that once the terminus came out, the people would follow it and they could sell their land if they could say trams running past and tram terminus. So it eventually arrived here in 1947. And there was such excitement about it that the tram was here, so of course they had an official opening ceremony.